Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Thank you for tuning into this video. And I'm going to do a trade recap, trade review, going over a couple of the trades that we took in the past 2 days. And specifically, I'm going to go into detail with Boeing today, which produced over a 550% return on investment from low to high in our supply and demand zones. I'm also going to go over a trade on Zoom. And of course, I'm going to go into the S&P 500 in detail, explaining my thought process, the potential trade setups, and I'm also going to go over the trades that we did take today in the Discord room. So if you guys learned anything by the end of this video, it would be much appreciated if you could subscribe to my channel, drop a like, and also follow me on Instagram. I post trade recaps like this on a daily basis on my story, so it's definitely worth a follow, and I'm going to link it in the description below. So without further ado, let's get right into breaking down Boeing. So really fast, a quick macro look on Boeing. We have a daily demand zone. Pull up a daily chart. And price has been selling off into this daily zone. Not really selling off, not really bouncing from this zone. So this has been on watch for the past couple of days for us to really bid above 160, 150 to take it long. First time price entered the zone was on September 8th. So 3 days ago, we bounced from 161 all the way to 165. So the first time we did test it, produced a nice bounce, and this was a nice trade that we took this week. Now fast forward to the next day, September 9th, didn't really nothing. There was no valid trade here in demand. Bounced a little bit, but no actual setup that presented itself. So that day was nothing. And then yesterday, September 10th, is where we took a really nice trade. It was very limited, but for all you guys that know my 5-minute scalping strategy, this is my favorite setup. So I have a video on this as well on my channel. When I see this, it's very profitable and it works 9 out of 10 times. So when a stock makes a huge rally to the upside, that's basically demand is very strong. You have buyers buying this move up, and this is on a 5-minute period, keep in mind. Then the next 5-minute candle is a balancing period where prior candle was very strong. Bulls were very excited about this move to the upside. And then the next candle, we basically stall out and balance out. So you have two things here. You have bulls either drying up the volume and they're not as interested, or you have sellers then kind of stepping in a little bit. And now there's an equilibrium in the market where both buyers and sellers agree on price. Think of it kind of as a calm before the storm, before buyers actually validate demand and take this move higher. So in the next candle opens and we get another very strong green candle to the upside. I take this long 10 out of 10 times. It's a very small risk and it's a quick scalping strategy where I'll take 20-30 cents and be happy and get out. Now I don't have the 2-hour zone marked here, but this move was very limited from a 2-hour supply zone up here, which basically we stalled out at and sold off from a 2-hour zone. If I actually pull up my old drawing set, yep. So if I were to remove this supply that formed, this is our 2-hour supply zone that basically stopped price that day from this scalping strategy. Now I'm going to put this rectangle back on, actually remove this really fast. Now this created a strong 1-hour supply zone because we basically balanced out for this 1 hour before selling off 2 points or 4 points by the end of the day. So this was a 1-hour supply zone that we were now validating, or it was validated for today's action. Now this is Boeing, the trade today. We had that 1-hour supply zone that formed yesterday, which we were going to take short once price rallied into the zone. And we also had a strong, fresh, unused 1-hour supply or 1-hour demand zone from, see how far back, from August 3rd, 2020. So I get a lot of questions, how far back can I look at zones? It could be from yesterday. It could be from a year ago, 2 years ago. It doesn't matter. It's just finding areas on a chart where price has not tested before, because that area is going to be considered fresh, where the highest amount of orders will be sitting at. So we had these two zones to play off today. We were watching longs at 1-hour demand and shorts at 1-hour supply. This is a perfect example of how the market moves from supply to demand. This doesn't happen every day where it's picture perfect like this, literally from demand to supply. But just for illustration purposes, this was a 10 out of 10 A+ trade. And we actually nailed this. I know a lot of people made money today in the Discord room. If I pull that up over here, we had Boeing at 10:03. I was really watching this 1-hour zone. This was at the time where it was showing relative strength against SPY. So if I pull up an ES chart, if I overlay this in the background, Go to add study, compare with, and I can compare this with SPX. This was at the time where SPY was selling off. So in the background, let me remove VWAP. This purple line is the S&P 500, and Boeing obviously is the candlesticks. So the S&P was selling off while Boeing was having a hard time selling off at demand. That right there is extra confirmation. And another extra confirmation is that we broke low a day, and guess what? There was no continuation. Breaking low a day in a demand zone is a recipe for reversal, and as we did, this was a perfect setup in my eyes. Like I said, a lot of people made money on this in the group chat and took this long from demand. Even if you didn't take profits all the way at supply, this ran up about 2 points very fast with no real pullback at all. And these contracts, if you trade the weeklies, from low to high, so from the bottom of demand to the high of supply, these moved from 30 cents to a high of $1.98. So about 560% return on your investment from low to high in the supply to demand zone. And let's say you missed this long trade down here and we come up to supply and you also missed this first supply rejection. You know, you thought it was going to continue higher and rip, but it didn't. It actually did reject supply. Your go ahead to take this trade short is this double top inside supply. I talk about this all the time. Any chart pattern in a supply and demand zone is extra confirmation. There's more confluence in an imbalance. That's your go ahead to short this. This would have been a great trade right here. If you shorted this double top, risk is very minimal. You know, you short this, let's say at 160.75, stop losses at high a day around 161.25. So you're risking about 25 or about 50 cents inside a supply zone. And your potential reward is this demand down here. So this is 10:30. This is a 1 hour demand zone right over here, which we actually bounced at perfectly. So you're risking about 50 cents to make $2.50, almost $3. So you have 5 to 1, 6 to 1 risk to reward, double top inside supply. This would have been a great trade. So there's opportunities all day long. The key is being patient, and the key is waiting for the right setups for you to take the trade. Everything else in between is just noise, and you're going to get chopped out. The highest probability trade setups are at these supply and demand imbalances. So I don't usually trade Zoom, and I actually missed this trade myself today, but I know JP Man in the Discord room took this and made a lot of money off the setup. So we had Zoom, a 2 hour supply zone, which was from 9:55-ish, 10 o'clock, all the way into 12 o'clock. The noon time was when the supply did form. And fast forward to today, we did rally. And look at this example. Remember that Boeing? We rallied, balanced out, and then look at this. Another strong demand. It validated this demand, and you could have took this long from $396 all the way up to $400, which was the supply zone. So that's a long side to it. Now you have the short side is when we rejected the supply zone from all the way at $400 all the way down to a low of day of about $373. So this was a monster trade if you took this short. Like I said, I don't usually trade Zoom, but it was brought to my attention by JP Man in the Discord room. So from low a day on the put side to high a day on the put side, which is flip. So high a day inside supply on Zoom to low a day, these contracts moved from $1.90 all the way up to a high of $16.38. So $1,900 invested from low to high. Now it's obviously unrealistic for you to bottom tick and to high tick, but I'm just showing the power of weekly options. This went up 762%. Like I said, it's unrealistic. I just like looking at this to show the power of options. Even if you got a tenth of that move, 20% of that move, that's still an excellent trade. Just showing the power behind the setups and the power of options. So on the S&P 500 this morning, we were watching 2 hour demand at 3344 and 1 hour demand, which was a fresh level at 3337. And it's kind of hard to see because at the time the market was open, let me see if I could get to it. It looked very strong. So what I saw right here was when I took the S&P long today. So it was nothing crazy. Did not get a huge trade out of this. I took profits fast, and then my remaining contracts actually stopped out for break even. But I want to go over this because this is important. So what I saw was price came down into demand. This 2 hour zone is a used zone, provided a nice bounce yesterday. So it was strong level. And then this 1 hour is a fresh zone. what I saw, what you're not going to be able to see from a candlestick chart, is that every time price came to about 335 or 3335, we would immediately uptick and tick higher. Then we came back down, tested the level again, and then upticked higher. This was at the same time we were getting aggressive market orders hitting the bid. So aggressive market orders hitting the bid are aggressive sellers. But what I liked was aggressive sellers were hitting the market, was not selling off, and price was upticking as we were getting aggressive sellers. That's a sign of absorption, and that's a sign of a strong passive buyer. So I like that. I took this long at 3337. Now keep in mind, we had a supply zone up here from the overnight session, and price rallied. We got to VWAP, and thankfully I sold 75% of my position at VWAP. It happened too fast, and when a stock moves up like this very fast, I protect my profits because I just don't like certain conditions of the market, and especially the way it was trading. So I took profits fast, and then we got this dump. But because I took profits and I had a couple contracts remaining, I was able to stop out at break even, and this trade did not turn red against me because this thing did continue to sell off, and looked like we were gonna have a very bearish day off the start. But we got more passive buyers down here, and then we rallied into this sell zone. Did not take this short at the supply zone. I actually wasn't even aware of it until after the market was over, and I did a little journaling. Then we sold off, blew past these demand zones, so now these become invalid. You could remove all of these zones. And look where we bounced. We bounced right back at the $3,300 mark, which is an area that we bounced at on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. And this is a strong area, so it's very important. Most likely, I could see us gapping down Sunday night, but this is just the outlook that happened today on the S&P. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like, drop a comment with any questions. Also, subscribe to my channel and follow my Instagram. Thank you and enjoy.